Hi, and welcome to episode 10 of Kids Story Room, and to episode 2 of The Tale of Shaggles and Petrookio, the story about the friendship between a dog and a yabby. If you haven't listened to episode 1, I recommend doing that first so that you follow the story from the beginning. And I also just wanted to mention, for all of our listeners outside of Australia who may not know what a yabby is a small freshwater crustacean that lives in rivers, creeks and dams. And they have the nickname here in Australia of nipper. I hope you enjoy episode 2. While Shaggles waited for Plop to fly back with word about his fish friends, he sung a song to keep himself company. I wonder where all the fishes are. I'm pretty sure they're not in a car. They're not up a tree and they're not with the sheep. They've not gone for a walk as they haven't got feet. I wonder where the fishes have gone, because here in the river is where they belong. They couldn't be at the local store. They wouldn't be able to get through the door. They couldn't have gone too far from here. So they must be somewhere very near. Where, oh, where have my fishy friends swum? Without them the day is a little bit glum. Just as Shaggles finished his song, he felt a sharp nip on his front paw, and a squeaky little voice squeaked, "Hello to you." Shaggles jumped up in surprise and looked down at the ground to see what or who had nipped him. All he could see was a fairly large brown claw sticking out of the mud underneath him. "Excuse me," said Shaggles to the claw, "but did you know that you just nipped me with that claw?" "Yep," came the little voice out of the mud, and the claw opened and shut 3 times. "Oh," remarked Shaggles, still surprised. "Well, do you mind telling me why you nipped me?" "No, I don't mind," squeaked the claw. "Well, could you tell me then?" asked Shaggles politely. "Sitting on me?" said the voice, and the claw opened and shut again. "I'm sorry," said Shaggles. "I didn't mean to sit on you. I didn't know you were there. Do you have a name?" "Yep," waggled the claw. "Well, do you mind telling me what it is? I'm Shaggles." "No, Shaggles, I don't mind." "Well, what is it?" encouraged Shaggles. "My name's Petrookio." "It's nice to meet you, Petrookio, even if you did nip me. What sort of animal are you?" "Yabby," clacked the claw. "Ah, a yabby. And do you have a body, or are you just a claw?" asked Shaggles. "Nah, I got more body. And I got another claw too," called the voice proudly. "Well, why don't you bring all of yourself out of the mud so that I can meet you properly?" "Shy?" squeaked Petrookio. "Oh, you don't have to be shy with me. I'm just an old dog. I won't hurt you, I promise." "Sure you don't want to eat me?" "I'm very sure I don't want to eat you. I'd be scared you might nip my tongue. Anyway, I'd much rather be friends," said Shaggles. At this, Petrookio stuck another large claw and his little face out of the mud. He had 2 beady red eyes that were staring at Shaggles fiercely. "Hello, Petrookio. It's good to meet almost all of you," said Shaggles. "Okay," said Petrookio, his red eyes open, wary and wide. "Shall we shake paws and claws? That means we're friends. I won't eat you, and you won't nip me." Petrookio stared at Shaggles for a very long time. He was actually gathering up the courage to shake paws and claws, as he'd never done it before, and was nervous. Eventually, he raised his claw up out of the mud, and Shaggles offered him a toenail, and they shook to their friendship. "Now we're friends," said Shaggles. "Okay," said Petrookio, and his beady red eyes became a little less fierce, and he screwed up his face a bit, which was his way of smiling. "Petrookio, do you live here in the river? Yep, in the river and in the mud. Do you know a family of fish who live here in the river too? Their names are Julep, Phlogia, Gloogly and Palala. Yep, know them? Shrugged Petrookio. Are you friends with them? Asked Shaggles. No, they think I'm ugly and they laugh at me. Oh, I'm sorry if they laugh at you. That's not very nice. They wouldn't mean to be rude. I'll have to introduce you properly, if I can find them. Have you seen any of them today? Yep, I seen them. Not long ago, this big pipe came along. Petrookio pointed his claw behind him at the pipe the man had put in the creek. About 10 minutes ago, it started making a noise like this. Rigga-rugga, 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 rigga-rugga. And it sucked your fish friends up inside. Haven't seen him since. Shaggles went over to the pipe, sniffing around its circumference. It was humming, just like Petrookio had described, and every now and then it would make a whooshing, sucking noise. Shaggles had seen his master lay the pipe down and knew it led to the big hole, but he didn't know what it was for. He followed the pipe up the bank of the river, and turning back toward Petrookio, he called out, "Petrookio, I'm just going to run along the pipe and see what's happening. I'll be back soon. See you later." "See you later," called Petrookio, and just as Shaggles had bounded out of earshot, Petrookio said, "Friend?" very quietly, before burrowing back down into the mud. Shaggles ran along the line of the pipe, sniffing all the way. Soon he came to the edge of the enormous hole his master had been digging. At the edge of the dam, where the pipe ended, was a big black pump which was humming and whirring. Water was coming out of the end of the pipe and flowing into the hole in the ground. The water in the hole was thick and brown, mixing with the muddy earth. It wasn't clear and fresh like the water back in the creek. So that's what a dam is, thought Shaggles. A big water hole made by humans. Shaggles could see his master in the distance digging in another place. He was building another dam. Shaggles knew that his friends must be in this dam, but it was so muddy that there was no way that Plop would have been able to see them from the air. Just as Shaggles was about to run down to the water's edge and try calling to the fish himself, he saw Plop taking off from the far side of the dam with a very full and heavy-looking beak. Shaggles could just make out a grey tail sticking out the end of her beak before she flew up high in the air and began to arc back through the sky toward the river. "Plop!" Shaggles yelled to the black and white dot in the sky, but she was too high to hear him. "Julep, Phlogia, Palala, Gloogly!" he howled, but it was no use. None of them would be able to hear him. Shaggles raced as fast as he could back to the bank of the creek. Surely Plop wasn't going to eat them, he thought. She had said she wouldn't, hadn't she? As Shaggles skidded to a halt at the bank, Plop landed at the same time on the other side. She let her heavy beak fall open, and into the river splashed the 4 fish. They were bob-blopping so fast and so loudly, Shaggles couldn't understand a word they were saying. It sounded something like this: "Slippity-dippity, and then I went schluffling, you went upsy-dundy, she went, I went higgledy, he went wrigglery, she went toodly, I went, he went zippity." Then they slipped under the water, and all was silent for a moment. "Thank you so much for bringing them back, Plop," called Shaggles. "How did you find them in that muddy water?" Plop eyed Shaggles warily. "How did you know where they were, Shaggles? Were you playing a trick on me to see if I would eat them?" "No, Plop, I wasn't, I promise. Petrookio told me, after you had gone, that he saw them get sucked up this pipe. I followed the pipe and I got to the dam just in time to see you scoop them up," explained Shaggles. "Petrookio? Who is Petrookio?" asked Plop. "Petrookio the yabby." Shaggles looked around on the bank for one of Petrookio's claws, but he was nowhere to be seen. "You know, the little guy with red eyes and big claws." "Oh, yes," said Plop disdainfully. "That thing. I didn't know he had a name." "Of course he has a name. We all have names. Our parents give us one to help everyone know who we are.
I suppose you're right, Shaggles. I'd never really thought about it. Well, Petrookio was right. They were sucked up that pipe and spat out of the other end. I saw the four of them come zooming out of the pipe and go splashing into that muddy water.
Were they frightened? Shaggles asked.
Hardly, scoffed Plop. They thought it was the best fun they'd ever had. They wouldn't stop gum-flapping about it on the way back and were making such a fuss I nearly dropped them out of my beak. What is that big muddy waterhole over there for anyway? And who made it? It's not a natural thing, that's for sure.
My master is building dams with his new tractor and taking water from the creek to put into them. I'm not sure what they're for yet, replied Shaggles.
Well, I hope he doesn't take too much water out so there's none left for us. I wouldn't go fishing in that muddy muck. All right, Shaggles, I'm off. I've brought your friends back, and now I'm going up the river a little way to catch some fish that aren't your friends for my dinner. Bye, Shaggles!
Bye, Plop, and thank you for bringing them safely back, called Shaggles, as the pelican spread her wings and took to the sky. And that concludes episode 2 of The Tale of Shaggles and Petrookio. Join us for episode 3 when Julep, Flugia, Glugly and Palala tell us all about their adventure up the pipe and into the dam. Till then, bye.